Hello summoners and welcome to another ProGuides video. My name is Crumbs and today we'll be talking about our predictions for the worst champions going into patch 12.11. It can be hard to really understand how different buffs and nerfs are gonna affect the meta. Sometimes a seemingly huge nerf really just brings a god tier champ down to the S tier and they're still plenty OP. Other times what seems like a minor 2 base AD reduction just causes a champ to drop off the rift. So we're here to steer you away from what we think are going to be the worst champs in each role for this patch. Quick side note, since Riot has not released the in-depth 12.11 change list at the time we made this particular list is based on the 12.10 hotfixes as well as the PBE changes we've seen so far. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get started. We'll start things out in the top lane with RENEKTON. While Bruisers as a whole are doing super well right now since their extended fighting style is favored with the durability changes, RENEKTON isn't doing nearly as good as his brethren. RENEKTON has always been a champ that needs to stomp lane to get a big lead and snowball hard. He's then supposed to take that lead and steamroll the enemy with brute force in fights. But with 12.10, any champ that needs to snowball out of control to win was hit hard. And with RENEKTON already struggling due to Riot nerfing him into the ground last season, he's basically just the worst champ in the game. You rarely find those early leads he desperately needs to even try to have an impact in the mid game. And even when you do find them, you're still not gonna be as useful as other meta top laners. At best, he's just a beefy frontliner with some damage, but someone like Aatrox would fill that role way better. Avoiding the champs on this list is a good starting point ranking up, but if you're actually serious about climbing, you should check out ProGuides.com. We have courses from all your favorite streamers and pros like CoreJJ, AMUMU, and Xmithy to help you really understand how to play your role. And if you want a more personalized experience, we have coaches available 24/7, ready to help you become the best. Our coaches are top tier players that have spent years climbing the solo queue ladder to get where they are now, and they're ready to share everything they've learned with you. Find our site down in the description box below. Now, let's get back on topic, shall we? The other top laner you'll want to stay away from is VOLIBEAR. While he's still doing super well in the jungle, as a solo laner, he just doesn't really stand a chance. It's kind of unexpected. Voli's W makes him a champ that should do well in longer fights, but for some reason or another, he's just flopped massively. We suspect the issue is what else is in the meta right now. While his kit does in theory sound good with the durability changes, his only good matchups are other low win rate champs that he inherently counters. He does really poorly against any of the top tier picks, and obviously if a champ is in the S or OP tier is getting a free lane, they're gonna have a pretty good chance at 1v9ing the game. But like I said, he is really broken in the jungle, so if you just can't stop yourself from locking him in, at least there's an alternate role you can play him in. Taking a look now at the jungle, our first pick is AMUMU. We thought tanks were going to be stronger with the durability patch since utility and crowd control should have naturally more value when damage is lower in the game, but apparently we were dead wrong about that. There are some successful picks here and there, but for the most part the whole class is just outclassed at the moment. Bruisers are a lot more impactful early on, and since hyper carries are super strong right now, you just get shredded in late game team fights. Riot is making some pretty big changes with this patch, including buffing tank items, but until we actually see what they are specifically, we're gonna assume not much is changing. Usually it takes them a couple of rounds to get something like this right. Now that said, it's not like all Bruisers are automatically an insta-win. Lee Sin was already awful before 12.10 and now he's downright abysmal. He's really always been the champ with pretty bad stats in mid and low elo, but at higher levels he tends to be more successful. But in his current state, he has a negative win rate even in Masters Plus. And since he's one of the champs that Riot is always very heavily nerfing around pro play, you can expect any buff he gets to be on the lighter side, since they tend to be cautious with those. So he's probably a champ you should stay away from. He's just too high risk with mid rewards, and every other standard jungler is gonna give you more consistent results anyways. Next up, we'll talk about our mid laners. We featured Ryze in our worst champs videos basically every patch for months and months now, so even if we can't see what his buffs are on this patch, we're just gonna give him a break for once. If his buffs don't change anything though, you can definitely expect to see him right back here next time. So, in his place, the first mid laner we'll start off with is Syndra. This one is pretty obvious. Even when mages were super OP in the preseason, Syndra was one of the few that was still unviable. She's remained that way all year, and now that burst champs are even weaker after the durability changes, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that she's worse off. I know she's another champ that gets balanced around her being a super safe and therefore popular pick, but in pro play she's been so awful for so long, I think she definitely deserves a bit of love soon. But until then, there's just no reason to lock in the champ that can't 100 to 0 squishy targets with a full combo. And if you think Syndra is bad, LeBlanc is even worse. At least with Syndra, you get decent laning phase and wave clear. LeBlanc has literally no upsides going for her. She's been in a very bad spot overall in solo queue for a long time. Not even months, I'm talking 2 full seasons of just being an awful pick. The first big issue is that she has virtually no good lane matchups. Any mid laner without good wave clear is gonna be weak, and LeBlanc's only AoE damage comes from her W. But that's also her primary trading tool, so if you try to trade with your foe, you get shoved in. If you try to wave clear, you have nothing left to fight and then you get bullied. Couple that with burst champs being weaker and you have a champ that can't get priority in lane or go for solo kills, and that's a losing formula for a champ that needs to be fed to go for picks in the mid to late game. Moving things down to the bot lane, our first pick is the all-time champion you've heard me talk about the most. It's APHELIOS. I've talked about this guy so many times before, but aside from pro play, APHELIOS has almost never actually been a good solo queue champion. Maybe in really high elo, he's had some patches where he was good enough to be called viable, but outside the tippity top of the ladder, his win rate sits anywhere from the mid to lower 40s. Remember, solo queue is completely different from pro play, so don't just go locking in a champion because it's something that your favorite pro players do. Plus, APHELIOS may be a semi-popular pick with the pros, but that doesn't mean he's a good one. It may be a small sample size, but he had a 33% win rate at MSI. If the literal best players in the world can't make him work, it should be pretty apparent that he's simply not a pick you want to be going for in your ranked games. Not only is he hard to play for the one piloting him, but he's also super team reliant. The TLDR is that APHELIOS will continue to be a bad pick until Riot shows him some serious love, which I think the Moon Boy deserves at this point. A lot of the champs that make this list are on it because of pro play. They tend to be champs that are super dominant picks in their role at that level due to them being either OP or just very easy to pull off in a coordinated setting. As a result, Riot hits them with pretty big nerfs, but when the champ is truly OP, pros will continue to make them work until they are literally nerfed to the ground. That's how we end up with champs like APHELIOS, Kali, and Lee Sin, picks who everyone thinks are OP but actually have some of the worst win rates in the game. And that brings us to today's question of the day. Do you think Riot should balance the game so heavily around pro play? I can see both sides of this. On the one hand, you can say that solo queue accounts for the overwhelmingly vast majority of league games. But at the same time, pro play really is the pinnacle of competitive play, and even if it is only a micro fraction of the games played, they should be weighted pretty heavily. I don't really know what my answer is, but I'm excited to see yours, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, let's get back to our list. The second bot lane carry you should avoid is Senna. Word of caution, this is a stark contrast to her role as a support, where she's still super broken even after all these months. It doesn't take much to figure out why that's the case. When you play her as support, you get a lot more souls from the lane minions, and that's almost entirely what makes Senna so strong. Her damage output is pretty decent, but it's not like she can out DPS someone like a Cog or a Jinx. Instead, her strength comes from the range increases she gets every 20 stacks. Without those, you're just too short range to be effective, and you get popped in fights before you really have much of an impact. Now for our supports, the first pick to stay away from is Pantheon. I'll never really get it, but it continues to happen. Why is Pantheon support so popular? He does really well in both solo lanes, but as a support, he has an awful win rate, yet it's still his most played role. It's one of these picks where it can potentially stomp lane if you have a super aggressive AD carry, but even if you do well early, it very quickly falls off. By design, Pantheon is a champ that needs to be really far ahead to have an impact in the mid and late game stages, but you simply will not have that lead as a support. Even if you're fed as a support, that doesn't make up for you not farming, and you're always gonna be underleveled. Finishing off our list, we have Gragas. Anyone that plays this champ outside of mid lane is a complete masochist, and if you play him as a support, that makes you a sadist too, since you're subjecting your AD carry to the torture of laning with an absolutely useless pick. Still, that doesn't seem to stop the decent portion of Gragas players out there that try to force it anyways. I have to ask, what is it that makes it so appealing? In a meta where engaged supports are generally weak anyway, surely it can't be fun to play something that just gets bullied by even the most passive of enchanters. And it's not like you're gonna outscale them later in the game. There's really not a reason I can see for ever locking Gragas support right now, but until there's a huge meta shift, you can expect to see him be at the bottom of the support tier list. And that wraps things up for our worst 10 champs on patch 12.11. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss out on our meta guides and so you're always in the loop on what the best picks are. Remember to let us know whether you think Riot should balance the game so heavily around pro play down in the comments below. And one last thing, don't forget to check out our Discord in the description box below where you can discuss League further or just hang out and be a part of our community. I can't wait to see you guys back for the next video, but until then, good luck on the Rift, and may the LP gods smile down upon you.